When I found out I was pregnant, I was filled with a great joy and a great fear. I was thrilled to bring a new life into this world, but my heart had many questions. Would the baby be a boy or a girl? Should I choose a doctor or a midwife as my care provider? Would the baby be healthy? What would it be like to be pregnant? What would my labor and delivery be like? It was at the end of last school year, May 2010, that I began to suspect I was pregnant. A quick home pregnancy test confirmed my suspicions. My husband Eric and I were so excited. In the next 10 months, we would go from a couple into a family. Eventually, we decided to use a midwife as our birth attendant. We liked her philosophy and the processes of birth, labor, and delivery. It was at her office that we heard the heartbeat of the baby and got our very first look. He was so tiny. He looked like a peanut with a head the same size as his body. He moved so much that Eric likened him to a sea monkey. The baby continued to grow strong all throughout the first trimester. I was plagued with a constant queasy feeling, headaches, and a never-ending exhaustion. I took long naps every day and ate non-stop. I passed uneventfully into my second trimester during huckleberry season of that year. I felt re-energized and was able to partake in some of my favorite summertime activities: swimming, sunning, hiking, biking, and hucking. And together, Eric and I looked toward our next landmark in our pregnancy, the 20-week ultrasound. At that time, we would learn the sex of the baby, as well as find out about the development of many internal systems. We went to our appointment at the hospital a bit nervy, but in the end, we learned that we were expecting a healthy baby boy. We meandered through the rest of that trimester and into the last. It was a special time for us. We were connected in a new and profound way. The baby growing inside me was the physical embodiment of our love. I started to get big, really big, and found that simple things like making dinner, walking upstairs, and sleeping were arduous tasks that hurt my back, hips, and stole my breath. Based on measurements and ultrasounds, I feared having a giant baby. I learned that my husband and his father were both over 9 pounds, nothing like the tiny babies on my side of the family. However, as the last trimester progressed, the baby's growth moderated, and I set that fear aside. People began to pester us about the baby's name, even though we had made it known that we were following Eric's family tradition and naming him Charles E. Hanson. Everyone wanted to know the middle name. Finally, we were in the 37th week, full term. My fears about carrying the baby to term were unfounded. He was healthy and cozy in my womb, and content to stay that way for another 3.5 weeks. My due date arrived, then passed. Then, in the wee hours of January 30th, in the midst of the biggest storm of the winter, my water broke. We arrived at the hospital at 6 a.m. and began the process of bringing Charlie into the world. After 6.5 hours of active labor, an epidural, and a marathon 3.5 hours of pushing, our baby boy arrived into this world. Charles Edison Hanson was 7 pounds 12 ounces and 21.5 inches long. He was pink, healthy, and hungry. And every day, I marvel at this miracle of life.